How is playing poker related to entrepreneurship? We're going to explore that in this video. My name is Matt Rousu. I'm at Susquehanna University, and I'm here with,
I'm Dr. Eric Dunaway. I'm at Wabash College.
and we've got a series we're dropping during the World Series of Poker. So please, if you like poker or you like economics or you like both, please like and subscribe. You'll receive updates as we drop new videos. And as mentioned, today we are going to explore the issue of poker and entrepreneurship and how they're related. We're going to do this by watching a few separate clips, then giving you our thoughts on these. So let's jump right to the first clip.
The action goes check, check. The turn comes a seven of clubs. Bang, we turn a boat. Because when you're wearing it on your hat, you get the extra run good. If you guys want to flop more sets and turn more boats with pocket sevens, there's a link down below. I just ordered another 50 of them, so get them while they're hot.
Wolfgang Poker, very popular poker vlogger, in a pretty explicit endeavor here to go ahead and sell some hats.
hmm It's all those extra ways that you can make money doing what you are already doing and finding ways to, you know, cover those buy-ins because they're not free. He's got to
No,
pay
no.
money to get to those tournaments, and if he can find different income streams to handle that for him, that's just a win right there.
Yeah, yeah. On a previous video, right, we talked about like poker professionals. You know, if you're a professional, you should be winning money, but there is variance.
hmm
Um, the side hustles here, right? He's got a side hustle where he ordered hats that have pocket sevens on them. They probably cost him, if he's ordering them in 50s or 100s, they're probably costing him $5 a hat or something. And he sells, I don't know what he sells them for, 25, $30.
hmm
So it's in a way for him to make an extra $1,000. And at the same time, build his brand a little bit. There's some extra benefits
Absolutely.
beyond just the $1,000 that he's getting here.
Because
Um,
building that brand, like that also increases his chance of getting staked in larger tournaments.
yep.
And the better brand means more likely for sponsorship opportunities.
Correct. Some casino might say, "Hey, we'll give you a few thousand if you fly out here and play, host a game. We'll buy you into this tournament as well. You don't have to pay for your buy-in, this, which is kind of their, the sponsorship money. This if a poker player gets big enough, they might attract other players to
Mhm.
want to come play. The other part, we're talking about entrepreneurship and side hustles. The fact that he's got a YouTube channel in and of itself is a side hustle, and I some of the players who've done this can make significant amounts of money just from the ad revenue on YouTube itself. So, so that's from one poker vlogger. Let's jump one popular poker vlogger. Let's jump to another popular poker vlogger in Andrew Neemi and hear about his side hustles.
The big announcement is that I'm going to be joining forces with a group of investors to buy a piece of the Lodge card room in Austin, Texas. And it's definitely a significant one. It's so significant that it requires a group of investors alongside myself to come on board for a majority share of the business. So who are the other investors? One you can probably guess, Brad Owen, my Meetup Game co-host. It doesn't stop there though, because the two of us are partnering up with Doug Polk and his crew that has powered Upswing Poker to become such an awesome business and the top of the poker training site world that it is. So the three of us and Doug's team are partnering up with the guys over at the Lodge.
I love that one, and I think it's neat that they're buying a card room, but they could have been buying anything, really.
Sure.
Like how much poker skill translates into any kind of investment opportunity.
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, if a professional poker player is really trained to look at expected value of
Mhm.
decisions and take a cold, cool, calculated look and make a gamble if the expected value is positive in a
Absolutely.
particular case. This one, the buying of the 50 hats we heard in the previous example, pretty low risk. I
hmm
think he's going to sell the 50 hats, I'm sure, like that. Worst case, okay, he has a few extra hats. That's a pretty low risk. This is a much higher risk, higher reward type venture for Andrew. And then, as he mentioned, of course, Brad Owen, Doug Polk in the card room. I do love the synergies there, though, with buying the card room. Um, they're poker players, and they're actually draws in and of themselves.
And because entrepreneurship follows basically the same golden rule of poker, the whole idea that you can make every correct decision and still lose.
Yeah,
And having that mentality as a poker player can really help you navigate those decisions.
yeah. This one, I mean, I have no idea on the financials of it, but can you name any other card rooms in Texas?
Uh, Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I can't. And I know this one, and I'm like, if I ever thought I want to go play poker in Texas, I'd be well, that's where I'd go because I
Yeah.
know they have the card room. Maybe I would see them there, which would be kind of cool. You know,
Hmm.
knowing those three from all the videos, it'd be pretty neat to see them and grab a photo and just say hi and all of that stuff. So, um, love that with poker players branching out.
Hmm.
Benefit cost analysis, entrepreneurs have to do all the time. Third one, I think, is a little bit more interesting. Or maybe interesting is the wrong word, but it's a little bit at least nuanced in terms of thinking about how entrepreneurs have to behave. And we'll go to that clip now.
I raised at 30. The button 3-bets to 100. He's someone who I have a very interesting history with. During my first stint as a professional poker player in 2012, I was having an extremely difficult time on the felt while I was living in LA. My expenses were high, my bankroll was low, and I was struggling in 510, mostly playing a commerce casino. The button, whose name is Casey Stewart, was a good, well-liked professional player out there who always wore a Dodgers hat. Anyway, during my third losing month in a row in Los Angeles, when I'd been running awful and playing bad because I was extremely stressed, I flopped a set of nines on a Jack 9-7 rainbow flop. I got it all in against Casey, who flopped a straight with 10-8. Casey's straight held, and I remember being at the end of my rope after that exact hand, and I quit playing poker for a living. I've talked to Casey about it several times since then, and he's always been incredibly friendly, but it's one of those moments that I'll never forget. I call for 70 more to get some revenge that's been cooking up for over a decade. We're heads up out of position, the flop comes Jack 6-5 rainbow, we've got top pair with an okay kicker, and a tricky situation to navigate. I check, the button isn't going to surrender. He bets 110 to keep the pressure on. We've got a lot going for us with a hand that could very easily be best. I call hoping that we get a check back from the opponent on the turn. The dealer puts out the 10 of hearts. It's a bad card because we're now losing to pocket 10s and Jack 10, which are combos we were ahead of on the previous street. I check to the pre-flop aggressor once again. There's still no letting up. In fact, this time he bets 250. I somewhat expected to see another bullet fired, whether the opponent has an overpair, or a hand like a flush draw, or ace-king or ace-queen that he's using to semi-bluff. This is the kind of scenario that could cause us to lose piles of money, where we've got a hand just strong enough to justify calling multiple streets, but we're up against a good player who's capable of getting max value out of an overpair. The good news is that we have removal to the nuts, and the button needs to be worried that we could have jiggities or pocket 10s. I call once more, not knowing what card we want to see on the river. The 3 of spades falls, it's a blank, I check, I'm relieved as Casey checks back immediately, we turn over our top pair, it's the best hand, the button mucks face down, we win the pot, it's nice to take.
Probably didn't need to go through and watch the hand after, but it's always interesting to watch the hand here. But uh, love the story by Brad. I mean, the fact that he's so open and honest about what would have been an incredibly painful moment of
Absolutely.
life is part of probably why he's one of the most popular poker vloggers. He's going to talk about the good and the bad and be open and authentic. But entrepreneurs and poker players have something in common in the sense that they need to have a good assessment of how much business capital to
Hmm.
maintain. And we see here that Brad Owen had a period where he failed at that.
Absolutely, yeah. And when we find that we don't have access to capital or liquidity, we have to become much more conservative in the decisions that we're making. For poker players, we find that they'll often move to lower stakes games until you
Yeah.
can build that back up.
Yeah. So, and thinking through, I think a number of students when they're thinking about, how a business operates or starting up a business, they'll think about, well, like think about all of the revenue that came in. Like, well, the business owner doesn't just get to automatically keep
Yeah.
that. There's how much does the business cost to operate in
Hmm.
terms of the, does a building have to be purchased? That's basically means the cash is tied up. What are the monthly expenses that the business has to cover or they'll go under? And once again, for professionals, and there are people out there who will be professionals who will really be losing players. They'll think they're professionals, but they're not really going to be winning players. But if you are a winning player, you need enough of a bankroll to cover your expenses and cover the risk of ruin to make sure you don't go under.
It kind of sounds like you're talking about opportunity cost.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think the money, there's the opportunity cost of the money there, certainly,
Hmm.
right? Which raises a good example, right? If you're playing in these mega stakes that are $1 million and you have to have $1 million cash on hand, the stock market's done pretty well. I mean,
Hmm.
if you just had $1 million in S&P 500 tracking funds, it varies year to year, but on average, you know, what is it, 9, 10%, 100 grand
Absolutely.
you're
And
making?
we find for entrepreneurs, they're always considering that opportunity cost of capital as well. Why should I take on this project when I could have just left my money in a money market fund?
Yeah. And
Hmm.
I know, people who think about investments for, retirement or anything else. There are some people who do real estate, and
Hmm. And
I'm not a handy person myself, which makes the cost much higher. But owning real estate is usually not a passive investment.
yeah. And it's kind of bringing this back to poker and entrepreneurship. It's another thing that they have in common is they tend to underestimate their costs. It's just for a novice poker player to go to Las Vegas because you think you can win some money. It's debatable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, are you winning enough money to cover your food? Are you winning enough money to cover
Yep.
your hotel and the cost that you paid to get out there? We have to think about those things. Just being net positive at the table isn't enough because we have to consider our costs as well.
Correct. Yeah. And like we would talk about, in economics, you often talk about in competitive industries, the idea of earning zero profit, which doesn't
Hmm.
mean you earn no dollars, but it means you earn exactly the amount of the next best alternative.
Yep.
In competitive industries, there's that. As a poker player, right, you might be above that or you might be below that, but is it a good decision to be a poker professional? Well, what is the income you could have made elsewhere? Because you're
Hmm.
still going to have then your life expenses. I mean, even if you live in a place close to a card room, so your expenses don't really change, if you want to be a professional and give up your job, are you earning enough to cover your salary? And then the other thing you have to think about with if you're playing poker is you're no longer receiving benefits from a
Hmm.
company. It's not just the stated salary, it's the retirement match, it's health insurance and dental and whatever other benefits that maybe it's we're at a university, we can go use the gym for free. You commented
Absolutely.
on gym
Hmm.
access before. Uh
And, and at the same time, for both an entrepreneur and a poker player, you run the risk of not just having no income, but negative income.
yeah, yeah. Yep. And so a number of things to think about on that. If to go into business, how capital intensive is the business? There's some that might be not capital intensive at all, right? If you're launching a website.
Hmm.
Okay, how capital intensive is a website? It's probably not that much.
Yeah, just
Maybe
find somewhere to host it, pay a few
yep.
dollars, and you're
Maybe
good.
maybe you pay somebody to help out on the design, but it's pretty cheap. Other businesses, I mean, if you're going to start a brick and mortar type place, a restaurant or whatever, a laundromat, anything that requires a building, gosh, you need to have enough money to pay the lease on the building,
Hmm.
pay the upkeep. pay for all of the physical equipment that you need. You're now all of a sudden either tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And then you'll need to insure it.
And then you need insurance. We talked about risk aversion on the last one. But then some businesses, I mean, the business capital needed is in the billions, right? I mean, if you're going to be thinking about the investments in artificial intelligence, these aren't $10,000 investments or $100,000 or $1 million investments. It's companies are saying we are going to put billions of dollars to try to work on, our artificial intelligence.
And what's fascinating is that they're making that decision knowing that they had other opportunities. They are estimating that this is going to make them more money in the long run.
Poker players and all businesses, you do need to think through what amount of money will you have that allows you to, cover any expenses and cover if a string of bad luck happens. If there's negative variance that happens, what is indeed the risk of ruin on, particular action, either as a poker player, the risk of going bust means you don't get to play poker anymore, or an entrepreneur, you lose all your money, you just have to go out of business.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to everybody for watching. This is, once again, part of a series. Eric, thanks for joining for this and the other videos that we've done so far. We'll be doing some more videos, so please like and subscribe, and you'll be notified when new videos drop. But everybody, we'll see you in the next video.
Have a great World Series of Poker.
And have a great World Series of Poker. Good way to end it.